So finally, for our final topic, as I talked about in a video I did before work on Monday, everybody's been talking about it, and that is the current state of All Elite Wrestling. And how right now things are not looking very good for them from a ticket sale perspective. Now there are some bright spots, like Toronto being sold out next week or so, I believe. And I think it's next week, Toronto. Is sold out just about. And Winnipeg, I think, is also sold out or something, or close to it. But the thing is, when it comes to all the other ticket sales, like at places you think they would sell out just based on who resides there or came from there, or mostly places you think they would sell out based on what they've accomplished before, basically it seems that the success they had before there is declining. Basically their ticket sales are very, very, I wouldn't say abysmal, but just to the point that it's not satisfactory, especially when you have a TV rights deal coming up in the next several years, or the next year or so. Because it's no secret, as everybody mentioned, even Jason Solomon mentioned it in his take on this recently. He said that, David Zaslav and David Zaslav and his crew at Warner Bros. Discovery have been slicing and dicing a lot of stuff lately to save money, to restructure the company financially. And basically the reason for it, is essentially they don't see the value in a lot of these shows or movies or whatever, and they're basically chopping them off the block. They're chopping them off the block to the point that, yeah, you could still see them, but you're not going to see them either on HBO Max anymore, or you're not going to see them on Cartoon Network anymore. You'll only have a limited time to see them. Like, you'll either see them at Boomerang streaming service, Hulu, Netflix maybe, but you won't see them anywhere else. And this is why they're also shopping around some of the newer stuff, like the new Batman series, or the 2 Looney Tune movie specials that they're doing. They're shopping them around because they know a lot of hard work went into them, but they just don't see a profit being returned on their behalf to them, when it comes to the overall financial structuring or restructuring. Now, does that mean AEW could be in trouble? Not really. I mean, they have averaged, from a view standpoint, enough viewership to where it satisfies WB. Apparently it's to the liking, but viewership numbers is one thing. Financial revenue through ticket sales is another. And if the product, your network, your company, is basically high on, to the point that, they are, giving it two different networks to have the programming on, easy for me to say, they have 2 different networks to have the programming on. If that company is not generating, ticket-wise, the revenue you would expect them to generate, and that's not a good look in the long run. It's not a good look in the long run, especially with the TV rights deals coming up. And if these numbers don't improve over time, David Zaslav and his crew may just end up meeting with Tony Khan and say, yeah, the numbers here are great, viewership wise, but revenue wise, with your ticket sales, the atmosphere comes off blah on television. Like, basically he could watch it, him and his team could watch it, and they could see that, it looks crowded, but then find out it wasn't. He could go to Tony Khan and say, yeah, viewership numbers are up to our liking, but ticket sales were not, and it came off looking awkward on television, so we're probably going to have to put you in the category now of programs we may have to cut from our lineup next year. So that's something that I know Tony Khan doesn't want to happen because, the inevitable plan, obviously, for Tony Khan is to get AEW on the HBO Max streaming service or whatever it's going to be next summer. As far as the streaming service goes, the plan is to get All Elite Wrestling on there, just like WWE Network. WWE has WWE Network on Peacock. And people can watch this stuff there. He's going to want to try to do the same thing with AEW, but right now those plans may be going, into extinction, evaporating before him because of the ticket sales not doing so well. Now, like I said, ticket sales are bright in some areas. Toronto, like I mentioned, Winnipeg, New York, Newark, New Jersey for Full Gear. And there's a reason why that's happening. There's a reason that's happening because everybody expects that's going to be the night MJF becomes AEW World Champion in his hometown. That's why it's selling out, because people are selling it out based on the speculation that Maxwell J. Friedman is going to become AEW World Heavyweight Champion in his hometown at Full Gear. That's why it's selling out. Let's not deny that, okay? Let's not deny that. That's why it's selling out. But the point is, though, in between there, mostly everything else looks not so good. And even though the viewership numbers, like I said, could look good on paper, the ticket sales are another thing. And if Tony Khan wants AEW to get that bigger TV deal next year and stay on the Turner networks, as well as potentially, basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Migrate AEW programming over to HBO Max so that people can watch not only past episodes of Rampage, Dynamite, Battle of the Belts, past ROH shows and pay-per-views, as well as AEW pay-per-views, and everything. For him to make that all happen, he's got to have to get things more in line. He's got to get more things situated in the next several months, because if this continues to trend downward into a spiral that maybe he won't be able to recover from, not only would DZ, David Zaslav, and his crew consider putting them into the category of programs to cut from their lineup, from the television, from the networks, and maybe even disassociate with them permanently, but it will get to a point where fans will look at AEW and be like, they were just another version of Impact Wrestling. That's all they were. They weren't really nothing. They were just there because some fanboy had money to make his own company, and he wanted to prove to the promoter up north in Connecticut and his son-in-law, hey, look at me. I can do a better job than you guys, and I'm just a fan. It proves we fans are better promoters and bookers than you guys. That's how they're going to look at it. That's how they're going to look at it, honestly. And Tony Khan should not honestly want fans to look at it that way from that perspective. So if he wants that elevation into HBO Max or whatever streaming service it's going to be next year, with the combining of HBO Max and Discovery, if he wants to make that jump over to there for AEW and ROH, as well as get that TV deal he is so sought after for AEW and potentially ROH, he's got to get things together. He's got to boost those ticket sales even further than they've ever been boosted before. He's got to basically get the viewership numbers even up back to the millions. And because if he doesn't, he's, again, that downward spiral is just going to continue and continue and continue. And I do agree, one of the things that's at fault for them is they keep running the same markets. And by running the same markets, which apparently are hardcore cities of hardcore wrestling fans, it once again proves that Tony Khan is exactly that. He's a fan that's not thinking like a promoter, like a boss. Because if you're a promoter or a boss, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to continue going to Chicago. I'm going to continue going to Philadelphia. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. Because these are hardcore wrestling cities, and only the hardcorest of fans are there, and I can relate. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. Instead, you varietize. you varietize and you look elsewhere. I mean, this is why, as people point out, Toronto's selling out, Winnipeg's selling out, and everything. It's because they've never been there, and people want to see AEW. And I think AEW doesn't get shown on the score or something along the lines, so they want to see it. They want to see it live, which is why it's going there. I mean, there's rumors, strong rumors and speculations that the Cow Palace in Daly City in San Francisco is going to host Revolution. San Francisco, my backyard, the Bay Area, could have AEW programming and a pay-per-view. You do not think people here in Northern California wouldn't want that? Wouldn't sell out the Cow Palace in Daly City for that? Of course they would. Of course they would, because the thing is, they didn't think it would happen, and now it's probably going to happen, and they're going to want to show support. Just like the Forum, if you will, not the Cow Palace, JD, all due respect, JD from NY206, but this is why the Forum in Inglewood, California, Los Angeles, sold out when it did, because no one thought AEW would come to the West Coast, and it did. This is why Las Vegas, when you play that area, sells out, because they don't see AEW that much. This is why Newark, New Jersey sells out, because they don't see AEW live that much. You see what I'm saying? You need to varietize your options. You need to varietize your options and go places nobody would think you would go to, because you're so hard set, on staying in these hardcore of wrestling cities because of the fans. You need to venture out. You need to venture out, to other places. And by doing so, not only do you varietize your options with other potential towns and cities to go to and go back to on occasions, but guess what? Your ticket sales will start skyrocketing. They'll start lifting back up into the positives. And by doing so, it makes you look good in front of the people that are broadcasting your show. And by making yourself look good in front of them, you get that TV deal you want. You get that chance to put AEW television or programming along with RH programming on the streaming service, in the future, along with the new TV deal. Everything looks good on your part as long as you varietize. Also, the number one thing is to keep your roster in line. Let them know, I'm the boss. This is my team. You listen to me, you listen to them, and if not, you get the F out. That's it. That's it. And if you're somebody, and if you feel like, hey, somebody's not happy because they're not given TV time, you sit them down, you hash out the problems and stuff, but then you also tell them, look, I know you deserve more TV time, but right now we need to focus on the big name players for this company to attract people to the shows, and then when the time is right, you'll get your chance. You just gotta let them know, we gotta establish ourselves with these stars, then you'll get your chance. That's it. And by doing all that, it makes, but in the long run, like I said, you look good in front of those that you want to get that TV deal from, along with possibly putting your programming on their streaming service. Because if you're continuously going into oblivion, you might as well kiss that TV deal goodbye, and you might as well kiss the Turner Networks goodbye. That's pretty much what you're looking at if you're Tony Khan. So he needs to varietize what he's doing. He needs to basically prioritize the fact that he's the boss and his team of people that he has along with him are the bosses, and that the wrestlers listen to them. He needs to put his foot down, and he needs to teach his wrestlers that are complaining, oh, I'm not getting TV time. Teach them patience. Teach them patience at the fact that you are going to get your moment. It's just right now we have to establish ourselves in these areas, and these names we got on the forefront are the way to do it. So, if AEW doesn't want to keep spiraling down, and they want these ticket sales to rise up in the next several months, this month and next month and into December, they need to get everything together. Tony Khan needs to get everything together. He needs to get his priorities in check. He needs to varietize his options when it comes to, booking Dynamite and Rampage in different cities outside of the norm of what he's used to. as well as he needs to put his foot down as to who's running the ship around there and stop acting like a fan and act like a boss. Because if not, this current state of AEW, which is not good, is going to continue trending down. And nobody wants that. But that's all I'm going to say on this topic, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the live chat of the premiere of Topics on My Mind and in the comments below. And, that's it for this one.